Police in San Francisco are investigating after the daughter of actor Tommy Lee Jones was found dead in an upscale hotel on New Year's Day.
Actor Tommy Lee Jones was found dead inside of a San Francisco hotel.
On the morning of the very first day of 2026, while everyone was still basking in the afterglow of fireworks and New Year's cheer, Tommy Lee Jones's phone rang. Sharp and cold, cutting straight through the warmth of celebration like a blade. On the other end wasn't the comforting voice of his daughter. It was the police. Their tone was flat, official, and heavy with the kind of news no parent ever wants to hear. They told him that Victoria had been found unresponsive at a high-end hotel, cause still unclear. In that single moment, the man known for playing stoic heroes on screen completely broke down in real life. Not as an actor, but as a devastated father. For years, Tommy had quietly fought alongside his daughter against a merciless struggle: addiction. He'd helped her through countless dark nights, believing that love, patience, and family could pull her back every time. But that shadow always seemed to return, stronger and colder, wearing down every bit of hope they had left. So what really happened to Victoria Kafka Jones inside that hotel room? Was there something Tommy could have done differently? Or was this one of those heartbreaks no parent could ever truly prevent? In the early hours of New Year's Day, when the scent of cold coffee still lingered and the echoes of laughter had faded into silence, Tommy's phone rang again. Thinking it was another cheerful greeting, he picked up without hesitation. But instead of joy, he was met with the calm, steady voice of the San Francisco police. "Mr. Jones, we regret to inform you..." Before they could even finish, the world around him began to spin. Tommy stood frozen, phone trembling in his hand, as reality sank in with unbearable weight. His hand clutched the phone so tightly it trembled. The officer's words echoed in his ears. A hotel in San Francisco. His daughter.
The paramedics were called to the Fairmont Hotel early Thursday morning for a suspected overdose after another guest found 34-year-old Victoria Jones on the hotel floor.
Found motionless in a room while the city still sparkled from New Year's celebrations. In disbelief, Tommy muttered, "That's impossible. You've made a mistake. I just spoke to her." But the silence that followed felt like a sentence that needed no further explanation. The phone slipped from his grip and crashed to the floor. The man who had once played the toughest roles in Hollywood suddenly seemed fragile, just a father in unbearable pain. No tears came right away, only sharp, uneven breaths, as if the air itself had turned against him. "No, please don't let this be true," he whispered, his voice breaking apart. Outside, San Francisco glittered with life, but in that quiet hotel room, Victoria's light had gone out. At just 34, Victoria Kafka Jones's life ended at a moment the world was supposed to be celebrating new beginnings. The Fairmont Hotel, a place known for luxury and celebrity guests, became the scene of tragedy that night. Police, firefighters, and medical teams filled the elegant halls as word spread quickly that something terrible had happened. Reports later revealed that an emergency call had come in shortly before 3 a.m. on New Year's Day. About 20 minutes later, police arrived and were informed that an adult woman had been found unresponsive. A source shared that it was another guest who first discovered Victoria lying still on the 14th floor. At first, the guest thought she had simply fainted, but when hotel staff arrived, they realized the situation was dire. When first responders examined her, it was already too late. Early reports suggested a possible medical emergency linked to substance use, but officials made it clear that no signs of foul play or self-harm were found. Authorities stated they were waiting for official results from the autopsy before drawing any final conclusions. Uncertainty remained. Was Victoria a registered guest or visiting someone that night?
When paramedics arrived, Jones was already dead. The medical examiner is investigating and has not released the official cause of death.
Investigators have yet to clarify. Meanwhile, the Jones family released a brief but emotional statement expressing deep gratitude for the love and support received while asking for privacy to process their heartbreak. "We appreciate all the prayers and compassion," the message read, "and we ask for space as we grieve this loss." Sources close to the family said Tommy Lee Jones was devastated, leaning on his loved ones as they tried to protect each other from the overwhelming wave of public attention. One friend described the situation as an irreplaceable loss, adding that the family only hoped Victoria would be remembered as a person, not a headline. As word spread across social media, fans and online communities began revisiting Victoria's final appearances and posts. One interview from 3 months earlier suddenly gained attention. An emotional sit-down Tommy had done with CNN. Gone was the confident Hollywood icon. What viewers saw instead was a weary father, aged by sleepless nights and constant worry. His voice low and heavy as he spoke about his daughter's long struggle and his hope to see her truly happy again. Tommy Lee Jones never hid the truth about his daughter's struggle. He faced it head-on. In one of his most emotional interviews, he called it the longest and most painful fight of his life as a father. He described the countless nights spent driving Victoria to rehab centers, sitting with her through long talks that stretched until sunrise, and holding her hand through moments when hope seemed almost gone. "I held her hand so many times," he said softly, "and I told her, you're not fighting alone." But even then, Tommy admitted something that broke everyone's heart, that sometimes love alone isn't enough to pull someone out of their own darkness. In that same video, he spoke about playing the hardest role he'd ever faced, not on camera, but at home, as a father trying to save his child. There were times he had to say no, times he had to set firm boundaries even when it made Victoria distant or angry.
Victoria Jones was the only daughter of the acclaimed actor and his second wife. Tommy Lee Jones has not commented on his daughter's death.
He recalled those moments with a heavy sigh. "There were days she looked at me like I was her enemy," he said. "But if I didn't, I was afraid I'd lose her." The look in his eyes as he spoke revealed everything. Fear, exhaustion, and love tangled into one. Parents who have walked that road knew exactly what that fear felt like. Tommy also shared how Victoria often promised to change, to stay clean, to start over, and every single time he believed her. "I wanted to believe her," he said with a trembling voice, "because if I didn't, who would?" That belief became both his strength and his pain. Each time she slipped, he had to watch her drift further into the darkness he tried so hard to pull her from. There was one story that shattered everyone listening. Tommy described an evening when he and Victoria sat quietly in the car after she agreed to return to treatment. The air between them was still, heavy with unspoken words. He turned to her and whispered, "You just need to live. Just live. I don't need anything else." Victoria didn't answer. She only nodded. That small nod became his lifeline, a tiny flicker of hope he held onto for months afterward. Even just 3 months before that tragic New Year's Day, Tommy Lee Jones was still holding on to hope, still believing that light could find its way back into his daughter's life. He had said with quiet confidence that his daughter was trying, that some days were brighter than others. Tommy understood that recovery was never a straight path, but he still believed Victoria had a real chance. "She's intelligent, sensitive, and deep," he said. "She wasn't meant to fade away like that." Those weren't just words. They were the desperate hope of a father who refused to give up, even when the odds were stacked against him. Yet behind that hope lived a deep exhaustion he could no longer hide. Tommy spoke about the painful truth every parent eventually learns, that there are some battles a father simply cannot fight for his child. "I can open every door," he admitted, "but I can't walk through it for her." When those words resurfaced after Victoria's passing, they sounded hauntingly prophetic, like a message from a heart that had already sensed the storm coming. After her loss, that old interview took on an entirely new meaning. What once felt like a father's determined hope now played like a goodbye he never meant to say. The sentences that once carried faith became echoes of heartbreak. "I just hope that one day she wakes up and wants to live," he had said. Now those words hit like a whisper frozen in time, the plea of a parent who never stopped believing. In that moment, the world didn't see a Hollywood star. They saw a father who had given everything he had. He had tried, guided, prayed, and stayed, even when all certainty was gone. The true tragedy wasn't only that Victoria couldn't find her way back, but that her father still believed, right up until the very end, that she had more time left to heal. Victoria Kafka Jones, though the daughter of one of Hollywood's most respected actors, lived most of her life far from the spotlight. She valued privacy, rarely appearing in public or attending events with her father. But to those who knew her personally, she was remembered for her warmth, creativity, and quiet intelligence, qualities that made her absence feel even heavier. At times, Victoria would appear beside her father on red carpets and film premieres, but she never chased the spotlight or the chaos of Hollywood fame. Born on September 3, 1991, to Tommy Lee Jones and his former wife, Kimberly Cayley, Victoria grew up surrounded by movie legends and flashing cameras. Yet her world wasn't all glamour and glitter. She lived between two very different worlds, one filled with the bright lights and expectations of Hollywood, and another, more private, where her parents tried hard to give her a normal life away from the noise. Her childhood wasn't simple. After her parents divorced, she and her brother Austin spent much of their time away from their father, though Tommy always remained a presence. Their bond was built on discipline and structure rather than leniency or fame's easy comforts. Tommy once admitted that when Victoria joined him on a movie set, she was treated like any other member of the crew. No special treatment just because she was his daughter. He wanted her to earn her place, not inherit it. Victoria's first taste of cinema came early. She made her debut in Men in Black 2 back in 2002, appearing briefly alongside her father. A few years later, she returned to the screen in The Three Burials of Melquiades Estrada, 2005, a film directed by Tommy himself. In a 2006 interview with The New Yorker, Tommy spoke with genuine admiration for her talent, describing her as a naturally gifted actress with a striking sense of presence and an impressive fluency in Spanish. He even revealed that when Victoria was little, he'd asked her babysitter to speak only in Spanish so she could absorb the language naturally. That early curiosity and drive were what made her stand out. She wasn't just her father's daughter, but a bright spirit with her own quiet fire. Looking back, those stories and memories now carry a heavy ache. Each one feels like a glimpse into a beautiful life that never wanted to chase fame, but still left a mark in its own gentle way. A soft, sorrowful ending to a journey that preferred peace over spotlight. Victoria's artistic journey didn't last long. Though she appeared in a few small roles early on, her presence in Hollywood quietly faded as she entered her teenage years. Tommy Lee Jones once shared a story that revealed both his tough love and her youthful defiance. When she was about 14, Victoria refused to wake up early for a film shoot. In response, Tommy made the difficult choice to fire his own daughter. But the crew, knowing her potential, went to wake her up themselves and brought her to set on time. After that, she still appeared in a few small roles, but soon after, she stepped away completely, leaving behind the world where her father had become a legend. As she grew older, Victoria withdrew almost entirely from Hollywood. Unlike many children of stars, she never chased fame or tried to build a public image. She lived quietly, far from the spotlight, and was rarely seen in the media, only occasionally appearing in rare family moments. It seemed she had chosen peace over pressure, privacy over performance. But silence doesn't always mean serenity. In recent years, Victoria's name began surfacing in court documents in California. Records showed that in 2023, Tommy Lee Jones filed for temporary conservatorship in Marin County, expressing concern that his daughter's health and safety were endangered due to serious addiction issues. He asked that she be placed in a secure rehabilitation center, hoping that immediate intervention might save her. At that time, Victoria was already being held in a hospital in Green Bay after doctors determined she was at risk of harming herself. The conservatorship request sought to transfer her into a long-term treatment facility, and a clear sign that her family was doing everything possible to help her recover. By 2025, however, public documents revealed that the situation had worsened. A series of troubling incidents showed Victoria caught in a cycle of relapse and instability. In February 2025, police in Napa County responded to a call at a residence after a heated argument. Victoria reportedly struck another person by accident, though no charges were filed. Just 2 months later, in late April, she was detained during a welfare check at a home in Napa County. Police said she appeared heavily under the influence and admitted to recent drug use. She was charged with possession and resisting arrest, but denied the accusations and was released on bail. Less than a month after that, on May 14th, she faced another arrest in Santa Cruz County, this time for public intoxication and resisting officers. The pattern suggested her struggles had extended beyond substances, leading to erratic behavior in public spaces. Then came June 2025, the turning point. At a luxury resort in Napa County, an argument reportedly escalated, leading to a domestic violence charge. Authorities alleged that the dispute involved substance use, and Victoria was again taken into custody. She denied the claims and was released pending trial, but those close to her said the situation marked one of the darkest points in her life. From a bright child who once shared the screen with her father to a young woman wrestling with internal battles, Victoria's story became one of silent suffering. Her journey reflected the painful truth that even those born into privilege can face struggles that money, fame, or love alone cannot erase. The Jones family never released any public statement addressing Victoria's struggles, but her repeated appearances in court documents spoke louder than words, revealing a life burdened by more pain than her quiet demeanor ever showed. Though the official cause of her passing remains unconfirmed, an outpouring of condolences has flooded in for Tommy Lee Jones and his loved ones. No matter the circumstances, the loss of a child is an unimaginable heartbreak, especially at the start of a new year when the world is supposed to be celebrating new beginnings. The silence of that hotel room still seems to echo, heavy, haunting, and waiting for answers. Among those following the case, an online investigator named Phil Waters analyzed the situation, explaining that incidents like this are usually classified early on as suspicious until proven otherwise. There were no visible signs of harm, no immediate explanation, and far too many unanswered questions. According to Waters, in such cases, police typically send a specialized team to secure the scene first before transferring it to detectives for further review. When a tragedy happens inside a hotel, a public, high-traffic environment filled with cameras, staff, and guests, the investigation becomes especially complex. Each hotel room functions almost like its own private home, stacked one over another, making it far harder to control the scene. The perimeter doesn't end at one room. Entire hallways, even full floors, might need to be sealed off to preserve evidence. This requires delicate coordination with hotel management, balancing respect for the ongoing investigation with the need to minimize disruption to other guests. From that moment on, investigators must manage countless variables: people entering and exiting, staff performing duties, guests coming and going. Every movement could hold a clue or create confusion. One major advantage, however, lies in the hotel's surveillance system. Modern hotels are covered in cameras, from the lobby to the elevators, entrances, exits, and each floor's hallway. This network allows investigators to trace a timeline of movements: when Victoria entered, which floor she visited, and whether she ever left or returned. Room access logs and digital keycard data can fill in the blanks, helping authorities piece together what truly happened that night. From there, detectives follow a familiar routine: speaking with witnesses, reviewing phone records, analyzing security footage, and reconstructing the timeline minute by minute. In today's digital age, nearly every step a person takes leaves a trace. But building that full picture takes time, patience, and precision. What makes this case especially chilling is the detail that Victoria was found completely alone. The person who discovered her was another guest, someone whose relationship to her remains unclear. That fact alone raises difficult questions. Who was this individual? Why were they nearby? What connection, if any, did they have to her? And most of all, why was Victoria, a young woman with so much ahead of her, lying alone in that room? In cases like this, investigators typically begin from the end, the moment she was found, and work backward, retracing every step to uncover how and why her final hours unfolded the way they did. Each answer leads to another question, and until those gaps are filled, the silence of that hotel room continues to linger like an unanswered call for truth. Authorities had previously stated that there was no evidence of criminal activity, but that kind of statement often gets misunderstood. In truth, it simply means that at that stage, no visible external injuries were found, not that every possibility had been ruled out. Real investigations are never that simple. Conclusions evolve, details shift, and what appears clear one day can look very different the next. The absence of obvious signs doesn't mean hidden truths won't surface later. That's why law enforcement remains cautious, choosing their words carefully, balancing transparency with the need to prevent panic. Every statement carries weight when the world is watching. The main objective for investigators remains the same: to uncover the truth while keeping the public calm. If there's even the smallest chance that something dangerous occurred, the hotel and local authorities are required to act fast, ensuring safety and cooperation at every level. Right now, the investigation continues quietly but intensely, layer by layer, as experts try to make sense of a tragedy that has left many feeling unsettled and heartbroken. For those who have followed Tommy Lee Jones's career, this story hits differently. He's always been seen as a pillar of strength, a man whose characters never broke, no matter how heavy the burden. But now, life has cast him in a role no one ever wants to play: the grieving father. That's why this silence, this unanswered mystery, feels heavier than any movie plot, because this time, it's real. While police officials work behind the scenes, public speculation has been relentless. But what people often forget is how delicate real investigations are. Detectives don't just walk in and declare a cause, they move slowly, deliberately. They start by securing the scene, collecting every trace of evidence, and speaking to anyone who might have seen or heard something, from hotel staff to guests who stayed nearby. Every sound, every hallway camera, every timestamp becomes a potential clue. Hotels are unlike private homes. They're living ecosystems, hundreds of separate rooms stacked together, each with its own small universe of stories. In that setting, a single incident can ripple through layers of security security and staff routines, making things incredibly complex. Hallways must be sealed off, entire floors restricted, and investigators must coordinate with management to preserve evidence while minimizing disruption for other guests. Every movement becomes part of a larger puzzle, some helpful, some distracting. Thankfully, modern hotels are equipped with extensive security systems. Surveillance cameras watch nearly every corner, from lobbies and elevators to entrances, exits, and floor hallways. Access keycards provide digital footprints, recording when and where doors were opened. By merging that data with camera footage, investigators can reconstruct precise movements: when Victoria entered, which floor she went to, who might have crossed paths with her, and whether she left and returned. From there, detectives follow the familiar but exhausting rhythm of a modern case, checking phone logs, reviewing messages, interviewing witnesses, and comparing timelines. In today's digital world, it's almost impossible for a person's final hours to vanish completely. But that doesn't make the process faster. It takes patience, coordination, and emotional distance, something hard to maintain when the victim is a public figure and the grieving family is a household name. Forensic specialists are at the core of this process. The first step after securing the scene is always the examination of the body, respectfully, carefully, and methodically. The absence of visible injuries doesn't end an investigation, it only deepens it. Many times, the most critical details are hidden beneath the surface: internal trauma, heart irregularities, undiagnosed medical conditions, or substances that can't be detected without testing. This is where the autopsy becomes essential. Medical examiners look beyond what can be seen. They examine organs, tissue, and blood samples to find any irregularities that could explain what happened. In many cases, what appears at first to be natural or accidental can take on new meaning once internal evidence is reviewed. And yet, even after that process, not all answers come quickly. The next stage, toxicology testing, is often the longest and most complex. It's not just about detecting drugs or alcohol, it's about measuring levels, identifying combinations, and understanding timing. Some substances metabolize quickly, others linger, and interactions can produce effects no single test can immediately clarify. That's why toxicology reports often take weeks or even months. Scientists must analyze everything with precision before making conclusions that could change the course of an investigation. Until those results are finalized, the official classification of a case, whether accidental, natural, or something else, remains open. For families, that waiting period feels endless. Every day stretches into uncertainty, every unanswered question reopening the wound. For the public, especially when a famous name is involved, patience runs thin, but accuracy can't be rushed. Truth requires time. In situations like this, investigators have another painful duty: communicating findings to the family before the media learns them. It's not just a formality, it's an act of empathy. Telling a parent that their child's final moments are now part of a public file is one of the hardest responsibilities any official can face. Those who have done it say the only way to carry that weight is with honesty and compassion. Never evasion, never false comfort, but human sincerity. And as the story continues to unfold, one truth remains unshakable. Behind every headline, behind every press release, there are real people enduring unimaginable pain. For Tommy Lee Jones, the man the world knows as a legend, this isn't about Hollywood, fame, or legacy. It's about a father who believed with all his heart that love could bring his daughter back from the edge, and who now stands in the aftermath of that broken hope. This tragedy forces us to look inward too. How often do we dismiss people's silent struggles? How many lives crumble quietly while the world scrolls by unaware? Addiction and depression don't always scream for attention. Sometimes they whisper, hiding behind smiles, routines, and polite conversations. Sometimes the people we think are fine are the ones barely holding on. It's a reminder that compassion isn't just sympathy, it's vigilance. It's checking in on a friend who's gone quiet, noticing when someone's laughter sounds forced, or offering a hand before they even ask. Because too many cries for help go unnoticed until it's too late. The story of Victoria Kafka Jones is heartbreaking, not only because of how it ended, but because of what it reveals about the fragility of hope. She was the daughter of a Hollywood icon, someone with access to the best resources, the best care, the best chances. And yet, her battle mirrored that of countless others struggling in silence. Fame doesn't protect against pain. Privilege doesn't guarantee peace. Tommy's story as a father speaks to something deeply human, the unrelenting belief that love can fix what's broken. He had stood by her side through relapses, through court hearings, through the darkest nights, convinced that one day she would choose life again. And when she did, even briefly, he celebrated every small victory like a miracle. In one of his last interviews before her passing, he spoke softly but firmly. She wasn't meant to disappear like that. It was the kind of sentence only a father could say, defiant against fate, hopeful to the end. Those words, replayed now, feel like both a prayer and a goodbye. As the investigation unfolds and the public waits for clarity, it's important to remember what lies at the heart of this story. Not scandal, not speculation, but sorrow. It's about a family trying to survive the unimaginable while strangers dissect their pain. It's about the human cost behind every breaking headline. And when the official report finally arrives, whether weeks or months from now, it will provide answers, but not peace. Because no matter what the papers say, nothing can truly explain how a life once full of laughter and promise can vanish into silence. The facts will fill in timelines and causes, but they will never fill the void left behind. Still, truth matters. It matters because it restores dignity. It allows closure. It helps the world see beyond the rumors and remember the person, not the mystery. That's what Tommy Lee Jones's family deserves. Not speculation, but understanding. And for the rest of us, maybe this story can serve as a quiet call to empathy, to slow down, to reach out, to stop assuming we know what others are going through. Sometimes being kind costs nothing, but it can mean everything. At the end of all this, the tragedy of Victoria's passing stands as a painful reminder that life can turn fragile in a single moment. No matter how strong, talented, or loved a person is, they can still fall under the weight of unseen struggles. And no matter how fiercely we love someone, we can't always save them, but we can try to understand them. Thank you for staying with us through the final chapter of this emotional story. If this touched your heart, or if you have your own thoughts or experiences to share, leave a comment below. Your words might reach someone who needs them most. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to continue following stories that look beyond the fame and uncover the human truths hiding beneath it. And above all, be gentle with one another, because we never truly know who's fighting in silence, just hoping someone will notice before it's too late.